Well, good day and welcome once again to Moments with Dr. Steve. I'm Dr. Steve Bonenberger, and this is my Thursday morning. I don't know where it is for you, but on Thursdays we dive into my first great piece of literature, which is Through Gates of Fire, Volume 1, Wingless Flight. Wingless flight is my definition of faith. Through Gates of Fire, you can go to saintalegius.org. You can pick up a copy and join the conversation and join the readers all around the world that are diving into the great literature that I have had the privilege and honor of creating over these past 40 years. So we're going to talk today about Through Gates of Fire, and we're going to talk specifically today about my friend Flash Bastion. Through Gates of Fire, Volume 1 is about Flash Bastion. And Flash Bastion comes to this moment when he asks the question, does God catch the faith leapers? Does God catch the faith leapers? Does he? Does God notice the faith leapers? Does God reward big initiatives? Flash wants to know the answer to that. Does God notice those who seek to move mountains in a single scoop? Does God notice those who take and seek to leap over skyscrapers in a single bound? Does God notice those who seek to build grand temples and places of homage for his honor solely? Does God welcome those and hold them close to his bosom who determine his ways matter, and that serving God and the kingdom of Christ exceeds the limit of any other human occupation? Wow! Does God invest time and energy and money in those who radically seek to ensconce the kingdom of Christ on this earth in this hour? Flash wants to know the answer to that. And so cue Flash Bastion. Flash Bastion decided to test his faith to its illogical and then its nonsensical limit. Flash climbed the holy mountain of God for the second time of his life, and often scratching up on his hands and knees and bloodied and fingernails splitting and splintering, he reaches the summit of the holy mountain of God and then decides to take the leap of faith. Flash Bastion, once heralded for his service, now finds himself as an outcast for his faithfulness. And his only answer was to try to find meaning in the struggle. You understand that, don't you? I understand that. And he decided that the only lens that could practically and accurately understand his quest and his decision making was the lens of extreme faith expressed. The expression of extreme faith was Flash's answer. And Flash Bastion didn't recommend the faith leap as a prescription for anyone else to follow or model after or use his life as template. No. In fact, he forbade that. Rather, Flash Bastion saw his act of desperation as then an act of pure heraldry. He came to a place where he said, this is my stance. Remember Martin Luther? Here is where I stand. And Flash Bastion saw his act of desperation as this act of heraldry, and he asks, before he takes the leap of faith into the darkness backwards, believing that God would catch him, if a person tests their faith to its illogical limits, will then God act in kind? Now, I wrote that query almost 30 years ago. And I'm still asking the same question and wondering how then God indeed answers to this very moment. Pick up a copy of Through Gates of Fire, Volume 1, Wingless Flight, and let's try to answer that question together. Till next time, man, I love what we get to do. I ask you to go to stalegius.org, stalegius.org, join the community of faith. Join the community of outliers and interlopers and those that have been forgotten and those pushed away into the margins. Let's join together and see if we can't create a caring community that touches broken people. Till next time, I'm Dr. Steve Bonenberger, and this is Moments with Dr. Steve. Travel far.